Greetings everyone. Today I am back in Linux Mint 21.2. Here's the NeoFetch for it for those who are interested. As you can see, I am running the XFCE version and I'm running it on an i5 4th generation 4690 CPU. When you run Linux Mint for the first time, you'll be met with this welcome screen. Clicking on Let's Go brings you to the first steps options. Here you have easy access to various utilities to tweak your system. The first link will bring you to the Appearance app, where you can alter the look and feel of the environment by changing the GTK themes, icon themes, fonts, and other settings. You also have Time Shift to create and manage backups of your system. The Drive Manager is a welcome tool for those wanting to set up proprietary drivers for their NVIDIA graphics cards. Clicking on the Update Manager is the simplest way for beginners to install updates. I already did this, so it will show my system is up to date. For system settings, you'll be directed to the Settings Manager. This is shipped by default with XFCE. From here, you can further tweak the look and feel of the desktop environment. The Software Manager receives a fresh update, and the graphical interface is fantastic for beginners. As for the firewall, it is off by default, and in my case, I chose to enable it. There is also a documentation section for those wanting to take a deeper dive to find out more details about new changes and features. The Help section provides quick links to the Linux Mint forums as well as IRC chat rooms. If you want to contribute to the project, a quick link is provided for you to get started. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to change these clock settings here, so I'm going to right click on it, hit Properties, then I'm going to choose Time Only, I'm going to choose Custom Format. And in this box here, you can actually type anything you want. For example, I could type hello there. But I have a file that I saved, and that's has the configurations for the clock style that I want. So all I'm going to do is, actually I'll enlarge it for you guys to see. I did a short video on this before, but I'll repeat it here. So I'm just going to highlight this, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it into the custom settings, and you see my clock has changed. And just a note, this is the color where you change the color, I should say. And there's a tool that I installed, it's called YAD. So if you do YAD -- color, you have this thing here. So from here you could, for example, let's say I want a greenish, since it's Linux Mint, I want a greenish color. Say I want that color. So I'm just going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it here. And you notice it changed. Now that's not vibrant enough for me. So, let's try this color here. I'm going to copy it again, paste again. And that's not too bad. So that's how you do that. One thing I noticed with Linux Mint is when I hit the super key like this, the menu pops up, and when I hit it again, it hides itself. I don't really want that because I use the super key for a bunch of other things. To get rid of the default key binding to launch the menu, you want to go to Keyboard, go to Application Shortcuts, and somewhere here, right here, this is the one I want to remove. So once I remove that and I hit the super key, it no longer opens up the menu, which is what I want. So now I can actually use my other key bindings in conjunction with the super key. For example, Super and E will open Thunar. So that's working good. As far as application goes, Linux Mint comes with a lot of good default applications. It didn't have to change a lot. Here's my bash history. So I did remove the default text editor, which is called Z, and I replaced it with Genie here, which is the one I always use. And I didn't install a lot of other apps. So as you can see from the lines 4 and 5, all I did was I added the flat pack version of GPU screen recorder, and I added these apps here, which aren't that many at all. So I'm going to go through the applications menu, and you know what, I'm going to change this up a bit. I'm going to hit properties. I'm going to make it larger for you guys. And I'm going to go show as icons. For the behavior, I'm going to hit all applications, and I'm going to expand this menu here for you guys to see. So at a glance, now when it opens up, it shows all the applications at once. And I'm not going to go through all of it, but those who are interested, I'm going to pause it for 2 seconds. So if you want, you can just pause the video. As far as backgrounds go, Linux Mint does come with a good selection of wallpapers you can choose from out of the box. I haven't gone through them all, to be honest, but they do look very nice and colorful. But for this session, I'm just going to leave it as this default background, which looks pretty clean in my opinion. The original grub menu looked like this. And although it was functional, it was kind of messy. So I edited it, and now it looks like this. Much cleaner and simpler. Along with the ability to shut down or restart right from the menu. Okay, I'm going to walk you through how I edited my boot menu. So first, what you want to do is you want to do sudo thunar/boot/grub. So once I hit enter and enter the password, it's gonna open the file manager as root. And this is my original grub config file. First thing I wanna do is I wanna open it with my editor. And then right away I'm gonna save it as grub-original. So that way, if I screw it up, I have a backup of the original, and I can recover the original configuration files. Once that's done, I'm going to go back to this grub config, and I'm going to open it with my editor again. And you can do it different ways. From here, you can actually just alter the name, because all I'm doing is I go down to the menu entries and I'm changing the names of them. For example, where is it? Actually, you know what? First, all these advanced menu entries, I don't need them. So I'm gonna highlight them and I'm gonna delete them all. So that's the first thing I'm gonna do. Done. Now the next thing I want to do is I just want to change this to make it look cleaner. So I'm basically just changing the name of the entry. So that's just going to say Windows 10 there. And here, the MX23 Tambucha, I'm just going to also change the name of it to make it simpler. I don't need to know that it's on /dev/sdb4 when I'm booting my system. So that makes the menu look a lot simpler and cleaner. And these advanced options, I don't really need them because I already have 2 Linux operating systems on this already. So if one doesn't boot, the other will boot, and that'll be fine with me. And I'm gonna delete those advanced menu entries, and I'm just gonna save it. So from here, if you saved it like this, your menus would be cleaner. Oops, I noticed a mistake I made. I'm gonna edit it now. So like I said, your menus would be cleaner, but you wouldn't get the colors that I had. So I have this custom config file that it's not there by default. I could just copy these colors here. Actually, I'll enlarge it so you guys can see. I'll copy these colors here. I'm going to go back to my grub config and I'm going to place it before the first menu entry. So this is the first menu entry. I'm going to paste the colors. And now you should have the colors that I have. And also here in this custom config, I have shutdown and restart options. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it would be to just highlight all your menu items. So I'm going to copy this one, Control X, and I'm going to paste it here. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my other menu entry items. I'm going to do it with Windows and Tambucha. So I'm going to Control Exit and Control V over here. So now it's all in a custom config file. So all the settings are here, and all the menu entries and the color is here. Actually, I put the color in both. It doesn't really matter. Originally, I put it all in one menu entry or one config file, but now I split it up. So after that's done, you save them both. Save, this one you save. And I also save it as grub / mint.config. So now in my folder I have the grub config, I have the original one, this one is a backup of this one, and I have the custom config file. So what it does is just gonna run this, and that's gonna have the settings, and then this one here is gonna have the menu entries. So that's how I did that. As far as applications go, the apps are pretty solid. I haven't run into any glitches. Now this version of Linux Mint is based on Ubuntu 22.04. It's the same base that Zorin OS 16.3 was based on, and so it seems pretty solid. I haven't had any issues with apps so far. I should note that Linux Mint did not detect my audio output properly. It defaulted to the HDMI output, and so I had to change it here to get my audio working correctly. So going back to the NeoFetch, you can see it's using kernel 5.15, and this kernel is fine on my computer. It should be fine on computers 2 to 3 years old, but if you have bleeding edge hardware, it may not detect your hardware properly, and you may want to switch to something that has a newer kernel. So if I go to Distro Watch, you can see Linux Mint is sitting at the number 2 spot. So it's basically the top ranking Ubuntu based distribution on DistroWatch. The homepage to Linux Mint is here. To download it, you just click on this link here, and you have multiple desktops to choose from. The Cinnamon edition is their flagship edition. They also have a Mate edition, but me, you guys, if you watch my videos, you know I love XFCE, so I chose this XFCE edition. And my overall thoughts of Linux Mint. While Linux Mint has been long known for its user-friendliness, if you search on Google and you search for user-friendly Linux, I'm pretty sure Linux Mint will be among the list. You can see here. So, best Linux distros for beginners. What do you know? Linux Mint is here. But anyhow, my overall thoughts, it's a very stable distro. It compares very well to Zorin OS, which I did a video of in my last review. And those two, I say, are very close to one another in terms of both user friendliness and functionality out of the box. They're both based on the same version of Ubuntu, so the software is pretty much the same. And overall, I think it depends on which look and feel you like better. Do you like the one that Linux Mint uses, or do you like the theme that Zorin OS developers used? You can check out more details on their website about the new features they added. For example, if I go here, I can find out in detail what they changed to the XFCE version. And I'm not going to go through it all, but most of it is mainly cosmetics. One thing I should note here is the change of the icons, which better matches the color of the theme that you choose. So that's very nice. But like I said, these are all mainly cosmetic upgrades, and you can go through it in detail here if you like. But my overall thoughts on Linux Mint, it's a very stable, very user-friendly distro. I compare it on the same level as Zorin OS 16.3. These two operating systems, they share the same base, and they're very close to one another in terms of ease of use and functionality. And I think it all depends on your preference, what you like better, as far as how the developers basically themed the operating system. But I don't think you can go wrong with either of these two operating systems, Zorin or Linux Mint, especially if you prefer Ubuntu-based distros. So I think I'm going to conclude this video for today, guys. If you liked this video or found the information contained here useful, please give it a thumbs up. But until next time, take care, everybody.